Hi, everybody, and welcome to week 7 of the Child Development Professional. Since this is week 7 and this is only an 8-week class, that means that you just have this week and next week left before you get to probably move on and start something new for the next 8 weeks or 16 weeks, whichever is happening next. I hope you feel more like childcare professionals than you did when you started. I'm sure you were already doing a great job being professionals, but hopefully you've learned some things. And so let's just, I'm going to share my screen with you and we'll take a look at this week. Okay, here we go. Week 7. You're going to open up your Start Here document. It tells you what objectives we're going to meet for the week. And then it tells you to read Focused Observations, Chapter 4, if you haven't already. That's pages 57 through 78. And then you're going to do some observation practice this week. And you're also going to do Winning Ways, Step 6, and you're going to write a childcare philosophy, or a teaching philosophy, sorry. So we'll just look at each of these individually. Oh, you do get to engage in discussion this week. I almost forgot. We don't have as many class discussions in this course as we do in the others. So I had almost forgotten we get to do that this week. So here we are. You're going to share your educational journey with each other. What has this class made you realize about the profession of early care and or about yourself? What surprising facts did you discover about professionalism, DAP, ethics, and or observations? And you can share openly with each other. This is a safe setting. It's a private setting, but we're not going to share with others. So just feel free to share. This should be personal about you. You also should cite specific references to your books because you have information in books about professionalism, DAP, ethics, observations. So make sure you cite specific things when you're talking about what you learned, but also make it personal to you. Try to make those posts within the first 48 hours to get full points, and just look at that rubric to see that you're meeting everything. There is an abstract, 2 points for abstracts on there, which is different than references. References are when you're citing information and you've got to tell where it came from. An abstract is something that you use or have come across that you think your classmates might also find helpful. So it could be a link to a website, and it would need to include the hyperlink there. It could be some form that you use in your center or in your classroom. It could be a website that you go to for ideas. There are lots of different things an artifact could be, but it would be a picture or a link to something that your classmates would also find useful. So try to include an artifact in your post as well. Okay, so after you've made that post, you'll move on. And step 6 in Winning Ways is our final step. And it's about taking care, which y'all are child care professionals. You got into this for a reason. You're probably nurturing and like to take care of others to begin with. This just talks about some specific strategies and ways to take care of children as individuals, children in the class, and with working with families and helping take care of them as well. So you'll answer those questions. Then you're going to write your child development philosophy. That is what it's titled, but it's your teaching philosophy is what it is. And I say you're going to write it. Really, you're just starting it. This is, well, I'm going to skip down to right here for a second. It says, teachers' professional portfolios include a philosophy statement that has been revised many times and developed over years of study and education. So you might have a different philosophy than you did when you started this class. Before when you maybe were working in childcare already, maybe you weren't, maybe you just knew that you liked working with kids or being around children. But now you've learned some things that might have changed your philosophy some. And then as your career continues, there will always be things that you learn and grow from and change your mind some. So this is just the beginning. Okay, they're typically 1 to 2 pages long, but that is double spaced. So don't freak out about that. Times New Roman, 12-point font, just like always. A lot of times you'll start with I believe statements. And so you might have, I believe this, and then a few sentences where you elaborate on that. I believe this. So that can be an interesting way to do them. But you will see lots of other ideas online too when you search some of the links below. So for this assignment, It does not have to be a polished final product. You could start just if you wanted to, just by answering some of these questions for yourself. And then as you go back, turning these into an actual essay style or personal narrative style paper. But you could just answer these questions if you wanted to, or if you wanted to, you could go ahead and start your actual narrative. It's up to you what you want to do. Just make sure that you are putting some thought into this, putting work into it, and that I can tell you've given it a lot of thought. So you've got some links here for, this is from the Purdue OWL website. It's one of my favorite websites to go to for all kinds of things. You'll notice it's also the website I use for helping you with APA and MLA formatting. And I use it a whole lot myself. So I think it's good links. And this is from Indeed.com. So, you know, you've all heard of Indeed. They help people find jobs. So they should be pretty good at this. And then here are just more examples and tips, but things for you to look at. Make sure your philosophy is yours. As it says, plagiarism is a serious offense. So I'm going to recognize if it comes from any examples in the books, obviously, or from here, or if I suspect it and it's something you Googled, I can Google what you wrote and find it myself. So make sure these are yours. A lot of students, a lot of people in general are using AI now. Please don't do that. A lot of times you can tell because a computer's voice is different than your voice. So please make this personal and about you and what you believe. It's something you should be able to do. As a teacher of young children, you should be able to write about what you believe about teaching young children without having to have it generated for you. So here's your assignment for this week for beginning to develop your philosophy. Okay, and then you've got 3 observations this week. The first one is not so much necessarily a different type of observation, but it's helping make sure that you're the lens in which you observe with. So you're going to reread pages 43 through 45 about your own biases. So biases, we usually think of them as negative. We have biases against something a lot of times. So we want to make sure that we're avoiding that when we're observing children and make sure that we don't have any, just something from our own life coming in while we're trying to observe these children. So before you watch the video clip, consider these negative views versus competent views, okay? You don't want to be watching a child and think they have no idea what's safe. You could say that they're an energetic explorer. It's just all about perspective. And instead of trying to focus on negative, turning it into a positive way. So then you're going to watch the video and you might watch it twice. You might watch it twice and do the negative view first and concentrate on how you would say things negatively the first time, and then watch it again thinking, okay, how can I make those negative statements more positive? And then you've got questions to answer. For these next 2 observations, you don't need any specific form, just your own paper to write them on. The first one is a running record, and you're going to read about that on pages 69 through 71. It's a pretty detailed account of what a child is doing. So get as detailed as you can in these 2 minutes and 34 seconds of watching about London. Okay, and then again, questions to answer. You'll type you can take your own handwritten notes if you want to, but then type them in here. And then summative anecdote, which is similar to running records, but less detailed. You get to basically summarize what you would put in a running record. So you're still staying away from any kind of judgment, just like you're always doing when you observe. You're not, observations are not for deciding what different behaviors and things like that mean. Observations are just for getting the information down. So it's still just about getting the information on paper, but you do have to, there's a little bit of judgment in that you have to decide what's not important enough to include, but that's still not a judgment on the behaviors. So you will watch a 3-minute and 8-second video on that and then answer these questions. You're watching London again. All right, so those are the 3 observations, and then there's an optional video for the week. And I want to point out that other than the observations, these assignments not only are due on October 1st, next Sunday, but they close on Sunday. They are not going to reopen for full credit. If I have to reopen them for anyone during the last week of class, you're not going to receive full credit. You're only going to receive 60%. So make sure you get these done this week. And that is the same at this point for every assignment other than the observations. They're going to close on Sunday. They're not going to reopen for full credit because we are running out of time. So we've got to make sure we get all assignments turned in because next week is it. So please reach out if you have any questions. I do enjoy hearing from you. And just enjoy your week. Thanks.